years to reduce administrative costs by 10%. So this is another measure that we put in place to try to control costs. The other thing that you should understand is that the governor, as well as the Democrats, placed education as a top priority, and we put more money into the budget for schools to use. No district received a loss from the Assembly and the Senate, but rather received increases. And in the 38th District, Irving, school districts received anywhere from 2.3% as well as high as 20%. So we have placed measures in place. Now it's up to the local school boards to control their costs.
If you have a question, please press *3, and we'd be happy to answer.
Great. Our next call comes from Doris in Lodi. Doris, go ahead with your call, with your question.
I would like to know why the agencies that open up these group homes for the disabled are not getting any increases this year. It's very much needed to keep them running, and the staff has to be paid as well.
Doris, first of all, I appreciate your concern, and I also share your concern. This was a very tough budget this year. We had to make some very, very tough decisions, and this was one of the decisions that had to be made. But I do hear you, and I'm hoping that those with disabilities, to be honest with you, they need to be very much concerned with COA, and this is where some of the COA money needs to go, homes for those with disabilities.
Great. Thanks for your call. Our next call comes from Lenore. Lenore, go ahead and ask your question.
Yes, good morning. I was wondering what you are doing to rein in those runaway costs of medical insurance premiums. What can you do on the state level? And Ms. Voss, you were my teacher at Fort Lee High School many years ago, so glad to see what you've done over the years.
Thank you. It's very nice to hear that. We are right now, I guess, waiting to see what the federal government is going to do in terms of health insurance. We don't really have an answer right now because of the fact that there are so many bills pending in the federal legislature that they're thinking about. In New Jersey, we have really done quite a lot to help people who do not have health insurance. We have insured over 300,000 children with New Jersey Family Care, and many times their families are also eligible for this, and it's dependent on the family income. And we certainly are very much aware of things. Some of the bills that I've worked on, for example, are to try and help families with the mammograms for women under 40 who had a family history of breast cancer and maybe some symptoms. And so now the insurance companies will pay for mammograms because I explained to them that if you don't do preventative medicine, you're going to have a tremendous cost in oncology, chemotherapy, and operations. So they finally saw that this was necessary. We have a 1 in 91 ratio of children on the spectrum of autism. And now my latest bill that the governor thankfully signed was to be able to get therapies. We all know that early intervention with people with disabilities is crucial. And so now some of the treatments that the families with a child on the autism spectrum need, for example, speech therapy, socialization therapy, will be paid for by the insurance companies. And so, yes, in New Jersey, I think we're in the forefront of trying to help the families with health insurance.
I would also
Yes.
also like to add in on that, I do agree that the costs are outlandish. I know that what some of our seniors are paying in insurance costs, very difficult for them to meet those costs each month. And when I hear our discussions on the federal level, and I know on the state level we're trying to do everything that we can, I sometimes wish that it wasn't in regard to insurance, but rather what we can do in prevention. In this country, we spend 95 cents of every dollar on acute care, 2 cents on prevention, and 3 cents, I guess, goes to insurance. And I think we have to reverse some of our thinking and put more money into prevention, and that will inevitably draw down the cost. I'd like to remind everyone that if you press star 3, then we can answer your question.
Thanks, Lenore, for your question. Okay, again, folks, it's star 3 if you'd like to ask a question. Our next call comes from Don. Don, go ahead and ask your question.
My question is this: what is a senior citizen supposed to do when the doctor gives them a prescription for 14 pills and the cost is $1,400, and the senior citizen does not have prescription plan coverage? With insurance, it's $360. How do we get to lower the cost of prescription drugs?
Have you applied for PAD and some of the that the state has put in to help seniors with their prescription issues?
Yes, but you're earning too much money on my part. I'm talking about the person that cannot afford.
Don, this is what I'm going to ask you because, listen, I do understand you, and I know that I have some elder relatives perhaps not paying as much as that, but paying as much as $800 for a prescription because it is a brand name and not a generic. So I do hear what you are asking, and I think this is something that we can't possibly solve on the state level, that this truly does have to be done on the federal level. However, if there is anybody that is encountering any difficulty with prescription drugs, I would ask them, please ask them to contact either Joan's office or my office, that we will make the appropriate calls and see if we can help that particular individual or family.
Finish it off by saying that.
Okay. Our next call, and again, folks, if you'd like to ask a question, please dial star 3. Our next call comes from Savita in Paramus.
Hello.
Hi, Savita. How are you?
Okay, how are you? Well, I guess you know, living in Paramus, we have a very good tax rate. However, we are paying 60 cents on the dollar for education. And as seniors, those who have lived here, like myself, for over 25 years, we're still paying 60 cents on the dollar if we don't meet the income levels as established. Now, why? I mean, I'm not opposed to paying for education, and I'm sure everybody wants to have educated children. But why are we paying 60 cents on the dollar for music, arts, karate, lacrosse, football, basketball, all these other curriculums that isn't reading, writing, arithmetic, should be paid for by parents, not seniors. Therefore, I can't understand why we seniors who live in a town, whether it be Paramus, Lodi, Bergenfield, pay 50%, cut our taxes for schools in half, and have parents who have children in the school pay that additional amount of money. And as I believe one of you said, having a good education system brings people to buy your home. I agree as a realtor, a former realtor. I agree that's true. However, sometimes that's fabricated. I think in today's world, we have schools, many schools, who do achieve that curriculum. And I don't think houses should be sold on the basis of schools. We have Saddle River, Montvale, and a bunch of schools that pool their schools together and have a very good education system. So having said that good education system hires your real estate taxes, I don't think so. Saddle River has a very good school system, and they have a cooperative. Why can't we do the same thing with our higher education? And with our lower education, elementary school students,